Hello, and welcome to this pre-recorded event for marking mock assessments for Pearson's new A-Level Business specification. In this session, we will review the assessment requirements of the new specification, review the paper structure and new types of questions, understand how to accurately apply the mark schemes, review student responses to questions and practice applying the mark schemes, show how we can support you. We will also work through a marking activity. You will need to pause this presentation when completing the activity. To begin, let's remind ourselves of the A-Level assessment structure. There are 3 externally examined papers for the A-Level qualification. Theme 1 and Theme 4 are assessed in Paper 1. Theme 2 and Theme 3 are assessed in Paper 2. And Paper 3 assesses content from across the entire course, bringing all the concepts together. Paper 3 has a pre-released context, which will be made available to centres in November, at least 6 months before the exam, to enable you to use this context in the classroom. Now, we'll remind ourselves of the paper structures and the types of questions in the A-Level assessments. Paper 1 and Paper 2 have a consistent structure. The papers have 2 sections, comprising a mix of short answer questions, calculate or illustrate and explain, and extended questions, assess and evaluate, which are based on extracts. The structure of Section A and Section B is also consistent. A-Level Paper 3 has a slightly different structure. This paper has a pre-released context, and there are no short answer questions. The paper has 2 sections, which have a consistent structure and use of command words. Both sections include unseen stimulus material. Section A focuses on the broad context, and Section B focuses on at least one strand within the context provided, such as a particular business. A taxonomy of command words for business has been defined and will be applied consistently in assessments to ensure students are rewarded for demonstrating the appropriate skills. This slide summarizes the questions and mark tariffs used in the papers. There are 2 types of mark schemes, and we'll now look at each in more detail. Points-based mark schemes are used for short answer questions. This means the 4-mark calculate, construct and explain questions. These mark schemes show the points awarded for each assessment objective, as well as the indicative content to show the types of responses that meet these assessment objectives. Marks are awarded for each point in the student response. Levels-based mark schemes are used for extended writing. This means for the 8, 10, 12, and 20-mark questions. These mark schemes focus on the quality of the responses, and the levels show progression of skills from the lower to higher bands. Indicative content is provided for guidance only. The first stage in using a levels-based mark scheme is to decide into which level the answer should be placed. To do this, markers use a best fit approach, deciding which level most closely describes the quality of the answer. Answers can display characteristics from more than one level, and where this happens, markers use additional guidance and their professional judgment to decide which level is most appropriate. For example, one stronger paragraph at level 4 would not by itself merit a level 4 mark, but it might be evidence to support a high level 3 mark, unless there are substantial weaknesses in other areas. Similarly, an answer that fits best in level 3, but which has some characteristics of level 2, might be placed at the bottom of level 3. An answer displaying some characteristics of level 3 and some of level 1 might be placed in level 2. After a level has been decided on, the next stage is to decide on the mark within the level. Where a level has specific guidance about how to place an answer within a level, markers will always follow that guidance. Otherwise, the following guidance is applied. For levels containing 2 marks only, markers start with the presumption that the student response will be at the top of the level. They will then move down to the lower mark if the work only just meets the requirements of the level. For levels containing 3 or more marks, markers should be prepared to use the full range of marks available and not restrict marks to the middle. Markers start at the middle of the level or the upper middle mark if there is an even number of marks, and then move the mark up or down to find the best mark. To do this, they take into account how far the answer meets the requirements of the level. If it meets the requirements fully, markers should be prepared to award full marks within the level. The top mark in the level is used for answers that are as good as can realistically be expected within that level. If it only barely meets the requirements of the level, markers should consider awarding marks at the bottom of the level. The bottom mark in the level is used for answers that are the weakest that can be expected within that level. The middle marks of the level are used for answers that have a reasonable match to the descriptor. This might represent a balance between some characteristics of the level that are fully met and others that are only barely met. We're now going to look at student responses to 2 of the question types. Open the delegate booklet, which is available to download alongside this video. When you have this document, pause the video, so you can mark the student responses, using the mark schemes provided in the booklet. When you have finished, continue to play this video to reveal the examiner's marks and comments. Pause the video now. Sample 1 was given full marks. There is no need for students to include a definition of crowdfunding, as this response clearly demonstrates understanding of the concept throughout. This response has all the required elements: knowledge, application, and analysis. But interestingly, these are in the wrong order, as the student opens with analysis in the first sentence. Sample 2 was given 2 marks. This is a general descriptive answer, which lacks application. There is some understanding and analysis. Sample 1 was given Level 3 6 marks. This response includes many individual points, which are accurate and well applied to PureNet, but they are not organized in a logical way, so there are no coherent chains of reasoning. There is some balance, but no overall judgment. Taken as a whole, this response meets all the Level 3 descriptors, so is placed at the top of this mark band range. Sample 2 was also given Level 3 6 marks. This response has strong analysis and some counter-arguments, but it is lacking in application, and there is no final judgment. Taken as a whole, this response meets all the Level 3 descriptors, so is therefore placed at the top of this mark band range. These two samples show how students might achieve the same mark through different approaches. To finish, I'd like to remind you of the support available for A-level business. We have a range of support materials to help you plan, teach, track and assess, and develop. All of these are summarized here. To access the free qualification support, follow the link in the bottom left of the slide. To find out more about the published resources available, follow the link in the bottom right of the slide. If you would like to complete further marking activities and training for marking mock exams in your centre, why not join us at one of our full-day face-to-face training events? In these events, you will be able to work through student responses to all the question types and practice using the mark schemes. You will also have the opportunity to discuss the marking activities with other delegates and ask questions to our experienced trainers. If you need any further help and support, please contact Colin Leith, who is our subject advisor for business. Thank you for taking part in this pre-recorded event.